Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Slideways podcast. I'm your host, Connor Mann, and today we've got someone on the podcast. You probably heard of him. Last name Owens, and we're not talking about the Newport Nightmare and a rocket chassis. Oh, wait, Longhorn now. We're talking about no other than our local Shiloh shotgunner, Justin Owens.
And it's hey now, here we go. These cars, they ain't never slow. Keep those pedals on the floor. Gotta make them wanna come back for more. Been here since the sun went down. White flag when we come back around. Worked all week, it's time to race. Gonna get a little bit sideways. Sideways.
All right, Justin, welcome to the show, man.
How we doing today?
Hotter than hell in here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So let's get right into it. Weather permitting, you racing this weekend at the Spring Showdown?
I am.
Car feel good in practice last weekend. I know I turned some laps behind you before once again I was facing the wrong way in 3 and 4.
Yeah. The car felt pretty good. We worked out a few issues. We had no brakes, and yeah. Other than that, knock on wood, no issues.
Are you planning on running a full season this year?
We are going to run a full season. We would like to venture out on Fridays, maybe hit a couple different tracks, but yeah, we're going to run a full show Saturday nights.
I'm hoping to be there with you, money permitting, and weather, I guess. I know this weekend we're not racing because we bent up the car a little bit. Some my fault. Some parts just went last week at practice, but you'll have that. So we'll be there for the first points race this season, and we're trying to make it all points nights at Hidden Valley. So we're going to get in some questions, and we're going to just back and forth and BS here. Where do we go? Okay, what inspired you to get into racing?
Oh, well, maybe a little unknown fact. My grandfather and his brother actually built Hidden Valley Speedway. My grandfather, Rodney, got my dad into racing, and my dad raced all the way up until 2006 when he decided he was going to quit, and we come dragging home a 4-cylinder, and then we all got back into it again.
What would you say your most memorable moment has been so far doing this?
Well, it probably wasn't even me racing. It was my brother, his first year out in the modified class, won the points championship that year.
When was that?
2021.
Okay, I was there, I think.
Yep.
This is a curveball question. How many times have we been into each other on the track?
I don't know. Maybe a handful.
At least 3.
Let's just say. Could have been my fault. Could have been yours. You know.
A lot of the times I'm looking right in front of me and not looking at what happens in the turn, and then there we are. I forgot to mention Justin races semi-lates at Hidden Valley.
Yep.
Full time, just same class as I do. We share the track every Saturday night. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into racing?
Oh, probably consistency. Whenever you get into a car, don't just automatically hit the "we need to change this" button. Try to get the feel of the car, get in it, and just run for a little bit before you just start moving bars, or try to get the feel for it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Last year was my second year in the car, and I think we moved. That was the first time we made a decision to move anything. This year's completely different. We went full reset. So when I bought the car, I bought it from a guy who raced at Sharon, Erie, bigger 3/8 mile to 5/8 mile tracks, and pretty much we just ran it how it was set up. And this year we went back to Swartz's scale and starting from scratch with our notes and everything, and really trying to get the car where we want it, which was apparent the first run we went out when I hit the wall. last weekend.
Yeah, notes are a big deal.
Yeah. What do you think some of the challenges you face racing are? Whether on or off track, prep, racing, finances. Obviously, it's all of ours.
I was gonna say money,
They don't make enough of it.
How
At
about
least
it?
I don't.
Parts availability.
Right.
I mean, just of course, I run a Ford. I've always ran Ford motors, and they're way harder to get parts for. I mean,
Right.
not to mention it costs probably 2 times as much.
Right.
But man,
I know with running sports, we have to run out to Ohio for anything. Either get it shipped here, and shipping is ridiculous right now.
yeah,
So it's either an 8-hour day trip out to Ohio and back, or a $150 bumper becomes a $600 bumper.
yeah. I got it pretty lucky. My chassis manufacturer's just down in Jonestown,
Yeah.
so
We've considered switching, but I can't. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away from it. But shout out Audi at Sports Race Cars. So how do you prepare for a race? What's your obviously we bring the car on home Saturday night, unload, damage check Sunday. But what's your Thursday, Friday, Saturday like?
well, mine starts on Sunday. Sunday we wash the car, we pull all the body panels off. Me and Brad, my brother Milton, every bolt and nut on the car has gone over. Paint stick, check, done, complete. Friday nights I groove tires. I sit down, I mount, dismount, groove new tires if we can get new tires, and the car's grease sprayed and sitting there ready. Saturday morning we come in, we go over anything that we may have found or we want to check. We start the car up before we go to the track, make sure everything's good, get some heat in it, and we load it.
What do you think about our class in particular, the racing that goes on in the field and in your competition, me being behind you, wrecking everybody?
I, you know, I can't really say anything bad. I really can't. Everybody's been 100% pleasant. If we've got into one another, I'll walk down to their trailer if it was my fault, or they come up. There's never been that moment where we wanted to fight or carry on. So,
And there's never been anybody who's like closed their door on me. Like if I ask for help, being
Yeah.
new, and especially the last few years trying to figure it out myself, I've got some good help this year. But everybody's been open to advice and really just coming over to help me out. You've raced a Hidden Valley under previous ownerships. I mean, I've only raced under the new ownership. But how has the transition been for you as a veteran of the track?
It has been pretty seamless for me, being that I've been there. Well, I mean, I was born on the first Hub City race that my grandparents ever held. I've been around the track from when they owned it, when Gamblers had it, Jeff Taylor, all the way up to Dan, and I really, really haven't had any issues, problems. Everybody knows who I am. I know who they are,
And when the reason I ask is because I think drivers' input's important. A lot of people go to Facebook or the social media and they air out their grievances and dirty laundry. But Dan's listening to this and he wants to hear from us. And what can we bring to the table that makes things better for everyone? I know we both want to say more money. That's easy to say.
oh yeah,
But more money's butts and seats. And what can we do as drivers to do? I guess fill the seats.
Well, I mean, I really think that your podcast here, probably goes out, maybe hits viewers that don't typically get to come out, that kind of stuff. Surely a social media influence, maybe people don't get to see a whole lot about it, or, maybe they come from an area that doesn't have a lot of dirt track racing.
Right.
We're pretty blessed in the area that we live in to have so many tracks, available at our disposal.
Right. And I don't know if I touched on this last episode. I was down in Charleston, South Carolina, with a stint with the Air Force, and I wanted to go watch some races, and everything was 2.5 hours away, minimal. Some of them ran late models only every 4 weeks. It was a lot of more hobby stock stuff and smaller stuff. And for us to be within 2 hours, we have, I'm going to go off the top of the head and probably say 10 tracks.
There's a handful.
There's a lot.
There is a lot.
Even that, and I don't even think about the northern tracks that we have.
Yeah, and there's multi-night
tracks, right? Path Valley, a lot of smaller wing carts, even down into go-karts and stuff, which I know Dan and I talked about previously. And yeah, I think social media is huge for outreach and stuff. And I think our sponsors are going to like to see that more, bringing that to the table. The numbers, all about the metrics. So a lot of us who race, you included, we work 40 plus hours a week to come home, spend about 40 hours on a car, and then spend our weekend racing the car. How do you balance the personal life and your racing career?
Very carefully. It's a tough thing to swing, especially being in a relationship, home life, dogs, not to mention hunting, fishing, other stuff that you enjoy doing. It's just a blend. I mean, you pick and choose your battles, and I mean, there's nights that I don't go work on the race car at all. There's nights that I'm up in Kerwinsville at the shop until midnight, 2 a.m.
Yeah, and there's Saturday nights that I'll be honest with everybody who listens, and I don't even want to go racing. There's Saturdays that I wake up and say, I want to sit on the couch and watch a movie. I want to go watch a Pirates game or go do something else. But it's a commitment. Like you said earlier about it's a commitment in your driving style and in your car. It's a commitment in your day-to-day life.
It's for sure a lifestyle. It really is.
And when I jumped into this, so I jumped into it. And everybody tells me it's not the way to do it, and I probably recommend not doing it to anybody else. I went to a few races in 2019. Is that the first year back after a while at Hidden Valley? 2019, 2020. Anyway,
something like that.
Right before COVID hit, and I fell in love with racing all over again. COVID hit. Racing was the first thing back on TV, so I just consumed a lot of motorsports, and I said I want to do that. I didn't earn my stripes. I went out and bought a late model, and 3 years into it, I still don't know how to drive the damn thing. But the lifestyle has consumed me. It's all I think about. It's all I post about on social media. It's all I talk about at work, and balancing it out is, I'd say, near impossible, but we managed to do it.
Hey, I can't blame you. I kind of did the same thing. I drove a front wheel drive 4-cylinder one time that was my brother's, and I absolutely despised it. I didn't fit in the car right. I didn't like it. We bought a late model. We were supposed to share it together, and I don't know if my brother, he didn't like it or whatever, but I wound up running it. And yeah, I think I ran that car for 2 years. And I've been in this car now for 4, I believe.
And you still feel like you don't have a hang of it half the time, huh?
Oh yeah, I still feel like I'm slow.
I have this point, and I'm trying to explain it to Eric, who's my car chief this year. When I'm setting in the turn and trying to put it into words for people who don't really understand, like right at the exact moment I'm pointed the right way, I feel nothing. It's either I'm sticking or I'm spinning. Like I don't, and Eric's telling me just trust the car. You got to trust your car, trust your equipment. But in that moment, I have no idea what to do. I can feel the car in, I can feel the car out, but in that one moment, it's like, I'm just guessing. That's my learning curve right now, is just right there. And it's really only a 1 and 2 too.
1 and 2 can be tricky, really tricky. But yeah, at that point, you got to trust your car, Eric watching you and saying, you're doing this, you're doing that. It does. I mean, you're going to get critiqued a little bit.
And I can take it, I think, sometimes.
Well, I watched you in practice. You look good.
I didn't catch you though. That's not good.
Eh,
Now, granted, I was bouncing around like we didn't have a lot. The fairness is we didn't have a lot of cars there to really run in the track and make a racing
get her
groove.
smoothed in. Yep.
It would have taken hours, and maybe if I stayed later, if we didn't break, we could have got a little better practice in. But
Of course, it was a little chilly.
it was a tad bit nipply. I think
Uh,
I can say that on the airwaves. I don't know.
Yeah, it's central Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
It was cold. I know at one point we were watching the snowflakes try to fly.
we were loading up and the snowflakes started, and I said, maybe this wasn't the worst decision. Where else? You mentioned Friday night racing. Do you have tracks in mind to go to, or
Yeah, I've never been to Thunder Mountain. I've never raced Thunder Mountain. I would like to go up and try it. Like to get on a bigger track. That being said, we've also wanted to try Clinton County.
Clinton County's one we're gonna try? Fingers crossed, make a night up to.
Clinton County's close to where I work, so we're gonna try it.
I'm only working right down the road right now, so yeah, and it's small. I mean, I'd imagine a lot of notes will somewhat transfer from Hidden Valley. I know when I went to Thunder Mountain 2 years ago, no,
Yeah, I don't think the notes for Hidden Valley would work for Thunder Mountain.
no. I took a gear change and I was on the chip before the flag stand, and I was like, I thought I took way too big of a swing, but it was fun. It was really fun to be at a higher speed, and
Oh yeah,
it was almost I didn't do well, but it was almost easier, just because your car's carrying you a lot more. It was fun.
yeah.
Less door banging. You don't want to door bang at those speeds.
No, you surely don't. I did the same thing up in Hummingbird my very first year that I went up there in my new car. Put a set of gears in. I think we were on a chip before we even hit the flagman stand.
I'd like to go to Hummingbird too. It's fast track, a lot of good competition. I would be so timid that
It's fun.
is it.
If you've never raced it, you gotta go try it. It's a good time. All the guys up there are super nice. We always had a good time. So I guess question for me: Are you trying anything new this year? Are you sticking with the same style of setup, driving wise?
Yeah, I think I'm still going to work on building that consistency.
Yeah.
We did, like I said earlier, we changed the car around a little bit. I wouldn't say changed it around. We brought it back to a base race car, and we're building our own setup versus building off what someone else had.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to race a little more, not be in the back as much. Just feeling the car out. I did end up last year getting a little bit more longevity in my runs and felt comfortable around other cars. I'm feeling actually more comfortable around cars than I am on my own. I think it's easier to see a line and make decisions when I have someone in front of me, kind of to
Kinda
go
like a
off
helper.
of. Yeah. It's a pace car. I mean, that's kind of what I was using everybody as last year. And I was getting fast enough to make some passes. And this year, I'd like to make a couple more passes, focus on finishing races and seeing where we can go from there. As far as style goes, one of the things I have a problem with is I'm underpowered severely compared to everybody else with the little crate motor in it. And my driving style almost has to be more of a keep the car straight. I'm not really pointing as much. Driving more like think NASCAR and think like Martinsville, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there is a little bit of a point, more of a diamond though than like a really hard set. And I can't do that in a pack because I'm gonna mess up other people's lines. I actually think that's how I got into you the one time, and I've got to figure out how to not do that. And I think some of that's gonna come in trusting the car a little more.
Yeah.
We did get the crate motor freshened a little bit this year. Instead of running God knows how many laps were on it when I bought it, and that was year 3 of having it, so might have a little bit more power. And if we get a summer like last year with a dry track, I think we'll be set as long as I can
Keep traction underneath it and
that's
keep stable. Yeah.
I guess it's the one perk of being underpowered on a small track. I don't plan on doing anything crazy. We almost got out of it this year, just finances and whatnot. trying to do some family stuff, keeping that balance. And glad we didn't. Just wish we would have spent money. I would have spent money on the car in some different places coming into the season. But
I'd like to have been able to spend money in other places, but at the end of the year, I think you were there. We broke a lift bar in the heat race, and it ruined the rear end. It broke the J bar off. It snapped both left rear shocks. It bent the right rear shock. It woofed the fifth coil shock. I mean, we had a very pricey
off season.
off season.
Yeah, I went for pretty boy points and put a new body on. Old body wasn't that bad, and wasted a lot of time putting it together. I don't want to say wasted. Like, I mean, it's a timely process, but could have been doing a lot of other things to the car and putting money in other spots that where maybe would improve our performance a little bit.
I think some seat time and getting comfortable, and
That was my
you're going to
argument.
get faster.
That was my argument. I need seat time. And
Like I said, I've been racing for. I want to say this is my 5th year in a new style, raised front rail car, and I still need seat time.
just about the time you get all that seat time you need, and shock packages are going to change. Someone with money is going to bring something different to the track, and it's not going to matter anymore.
Yep. Money equals speed sometimes.
Yeah, I think we see that on a Saturday night. I didn't say that out loud.
So what probably is your most favorite night racing?
Like, so far,
Yeah.
the first night, I'm going to say the first night I was in the car, and I went out there in hot laps, and I just put the pedal to the floor, or at least what I thought was putting the pedal to the floor. After looking at the times of everybody else, it wasn't. But I set it in that first night, just learning to set the car. And the first time I had the car hooked up, it was a feeling like no other. And I've never had that feeling since then. Like, I've had the car hooked up, I've been fast, I've made the passes, and that first time, like I said, I've never been in a race car. I bought a late model, and that was it. I've played racing video games. I have a simulator, raced on iRacing. The real feel of it threw everything I've ever known about speed out the window. And it wasn't even that I was going fast.
Yeah, it's a different type of speed. There's so much going on, and it's almost indescribable.
Yeah, and I've had a sports car. I've done 130 miles an hour down a highway. When you're tight in that seat and you're strapped in, the car is listening to you in a way that's somewhat magical. When you try to explain it to someone, it doesn't make sense. When you get into the rear end and how the car drives, you could say all the words you want until you do it, and then it's incredible.
Yeah, it opens up that world, and you go, I had no idea.
Yeah, I did not know that I could do this, that a vehicle could do this, that I could do this to a vehicle, especially like. So I guess the closest thing I ever had to a race car would be like a four-wheeler, like a 450 racing four-wheeler. And even then, I was used to the four-wheeler does what I say. You can manipulate it. You can throw your body weight around. Really, racing is, I'm going to tell the race car what to do, and it's going to listen to me, but I can't do any more than give it the right inputs.
Yeah.
I can't save it. It's a message from me to the race car, and hope to God it was the right message.
Yeah, it's a different world. And when you strap that helmet on, you crawl down in, you get the belts tightened up, and you go out on the track, and everybody's lined up beside you, and you're going,
Huh.
oh, man.
Oh, my first few times lining up, I think I have the videos of it. I am 3-4 car lengths back, and I thought I was tied up against them. It was something.
Oh, yeah. My brother, he would yell at me all the time. You need to slide up and get up on them guys. You need to get up on them. I was like, I think I am close,
You have no idea where your nose is on them things.
You watch the video and you're like, oh man, I could have put another late model in between.
Yeah, it's a whole row back. Yeah, it's indescribable. It's an addiction. I put it that way. It's an addiction that without that balance that we keep going back to, it could be I don't want to say a deadly addiction, but financially burdening addiction.
Oh yeah.
If you're not responsible with it.
I'd love to go out and spend 20 grand and get a big old hammer motor built.
Man, I talk to people all the time. I, obviously work construction,
Yeah.
get to know people, different trucking companies, contractors, and whatnot. I talk to people all the time. Oh, my buddy, he drives for this guy. They give him this much money a week. $5,000 a week's what he gives him to drive the car. I'm like, a week?
Sign me up.
You said 5,000? Buddy, I don't know if I spent that last season. I've bought one new tire since I started racing. How do I get that job?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got to be good. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it comes down to pinching pennies. I mean, I build all my own motors. So, I mean, we try to save where we can.
yeah, I'm hoping next year we get into building something new just because Crate Motor doesn't have the power. But it's going to be like learning a whole new car.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much throw the notebook out the window again.
So, do you have any plans of venturing out to different tracks this year?
I'd like to. Finances and working permitted. I'd like to get out to Clinton County. I've heard it's a rough track as far as like beating and banging on the car, but I think that's any short track. It's kind of, yeah, I'd like to get out to Clinton County. Any shorter track I'd like to do. I've talked with people about once I get the seat time and the figuring it out and the notebook made up about running like Rush Series stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but only running the big series stuff because it's only every like 2 or 3 weeks. But they're bigger money races,
Yeah.
and that way I can obviously you have to travel around a little bit more. But for the price of a tire, you can get a pretty nice hotel room. Actually, for a damn nice hotel room for the price of a tire, and it's just a little getaway, and then it gives you that balance. You get a couple weekends off and see
Yeah.
some new tracks. I mean, you're only gonna be able to do it if you're comfortable with what you have and you have a good solid support group to come with you. That's been in our kind of 5-year plan was
Yeah.
doing that. I was always told that if you can figure out Hidden Valley, you can pretty much race anywhere just because it's so different on both ends of the track. It's
Yeah. Yeah. You go from a tight pinching bank turn to, a really bank turn that's kind of sweeping.
and I don't even know which one's which. I swear it just depends on the night. I can set up one way, it doesn't matter. So this weekend is the Spring Spectacular, I believe is what we're calling it, right? Hidden Valley Speedway.
Yes. Yep.
And part of the show is we kind of go over past events and upcoming events, results, standings, and stuff for local tracks. We are at the beginning of season, so there's nothing to go over from the past. Thunder Mountain ran last weekend, but we don't have their synopsis yet. So when we can get that from them, we will get all that information out to everybody. But where we run, Hidden Valley Speedway, is having their springtime spectacular this weekend, which is starting at 5 o'clock? Let me see here. Racing starts at 6. Grandstands open at 4:30. For anybody who wants to go to that big show, 8 classes, pretty much everything that's being ran this season. Justin will be there. I'll probably be there watching. What do you think about this big show coming up?
I'm excited. I am ready to go racing. Ready to get the season started. Ready to see everybody that we race with. All the faces, all the friends, maybe that we don't get to see throughout the year.
No, and I understand that. I miss you guys like hell in the winter.
Yeah, you run around going,
What am I gonna do?
I don't know what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
But no, just excited for the friendly competition and to see where this year takes us.
With some new classes coming to the track, Pro Stocks, Legend Cars, and some of the micros as a weekly running series. Anything you're excited to see as a fan of those guys?
I'd like to see the Legend Cars. I've never seen them run. I don't know a whole lot about them, to be honest with you. They look cool.
My mom calls them the Beetlejuice cars. But I've seen one run. So I was in East Bay Motor Speedway in Florida watching their weekly show, and there was one Legend car that they let run with the 600 micros. So I guess that'll give you kind of an idea on speed. He was a little bit behind, but was able to keep up with the pack. But I think they're going to be great on short tracks. I think the smaller sprint cars on our tracks are going to be a good show, especially if 3 and 4 can come in with multiple lines.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm really curious to see how many legend cars show up because I know, like I've heard down, where they run. Was it is it Port Royal where they run?
Maybe Selinsgrove? I
Selinsgrove?
think there's a kart track in the middle of Selinsgrove because it's a bigger track. But
Yeah, that they get a pile of cars.
yeah, and they're cool. They're cheap. Good in for people looking to get into racing. I think we touched on that in the last episode a bit. But yeah, that's this weekend at Hidden Valley. Hummingbird this weekend is their second test, or is it opening this weekend?
I think it's a test and tune.
Yeah, I think it's their second test and tune. Their first one got rained out this weekend, so there's probably going to be a showing of cars there, which is usually a good, cheap, if not free, weekend to get out and see some cars for those who are looking to get into it. Yeah, this weekend is what? The 28th, which is, how do you say it? SCDRA. That's the 4-cylinder, right?
Yes.
Series has a 2,500 to win night at Thunder Mountain, which is huge for 4-cylinders. And their normal weekly shows. What other local tracks? I'm trying to keep it the smaller ones. Or is Marion Center running?
I do believe Marion Center's running. That's a fun track if you've never been up there and raced it.
I have it. Was it a Saturday night show or is it a Friday?
It is a Saturday night show.
What's it like? Might as well fill me in here.
Pretty close to Hidden Valley. I mean,
Is it shorter?
I know when we went up there, I didn't run a late model up there. I actually ran a street stock up there. I ran Chad's street stock up there. And I think we ran the same gears that we ran Hidden Valley.
Yeah, they have a double points this weekend. Super late, semi-late, street stocks, strictly stocks. Is that a pure stock? Hobby stocks, something like that. We can throw all the names out there. And front-wheel drives. Double points night. And I believe it's their opening night. So that's a lot more local racing. That's gonna be fun. Okay, so your brother races.
He did, yeah.
Is he not racing this year?
I don't believe. I think he's going to take some time off. I know he was trying to sell the car.
I do believe I saw that ad. I just thought it was an upgrade. Did pretty well last year, didn't he?
He only ran.
Or was that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago. He only ran a handful of races last year, and the motor actually dropped a valve seat.
Okay, I remember this now. I can play that back. So your brother raced. Have you ever gotten a chance to share the track with him?
No, I haven't. Practice. We practiced on the same track together. The year that our cars were wrapped identical. Both of them were the green and yellow and black. That was his. So, but other than that, we never raced against one another. We always said because they were doing King of the Hill that year, where they put two cars up against one another, and they were trying to get us to race against one another in a King of the Hill style race.
How'd that feel? Like just practicing with your brother, being on the track at the same time. Was it special? Like I don't know anyone out there in the same aspect. Like I guess the closest thing would be me and Eric racing together. And for me and Eric racing together, it was always, holy shit, I'm hoping I'm not in Eric's way.
My big thing was I didn't want to run into him, and I know he didn't want to run into me. The cars were brand new at that point.
Right.
And, yeah, but I mean, it's very cool to be able to share, the love for the sport with family members, for sure.
I'm a lone wolf out here. Don't come from a racing family. Don't come from any of that stuff. I'm gonna start the trend, and hopefully the kids wanna, or a cousin or someone wants to get into it with us. Oh, that's a lie. I got some distance relatives that race. I shouldn't leave them out.
I come from a very huge racing family.
It's almost expected.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Henry, the '92 car.
Okay.
He's returning to semi-lates this year. He's my first cousin. My brother's going to help this year. I'd like to get him stuff down in the car maybe a few nights and let him try out the new car.
I'm sure I know a guy that would let him take his out for hot laps.
But yeah, it's a big family thing. Even my nephew, he's 5 years old, going on 6. Loves racing. He comes every week. He stands on the bank, and anybody that ever watches me race knows that when I come up on the track and turn 4, I'm always waving because they sit right up above the bank. I'm always waving to them and any other fans that wave back.
I always wanted to wave. I've always been too scared. I don't know why.
Just stick your hand out and wave. Somebody will wave back.
Or they won't. I'll never know.
But yeah. I'll wave to you.
I spun out at practice, and the first thing I did is I look up and waved at Lippert coming around behind me. He waved back. I almost wish Norm would have got a picture of it because it was a classic.
So, do you have any goals for this year? I mean, short of finishing races, is there, do you want to finish up in points? I mean, we all want to finish up in points at some point, but
I'd like to be able to be top 5 in points.
right.
And I know a lot of that comes down to really just being at the track, and weekly. And I don't know if I want to commit to that yet because I want to try some other tracks out. And I don't know what else is out there on a Saturday night that may catch my eye, whether it's a certain event, a certain cause. But top 5 in points was my goal. I know that we have a couple guys that aren't running this year, a couple guys that are new this year, and maybe it's a good opportunity for me to make that a goal. I haven't actually finished a race yet.
Really?
No, I got my black flag on the last lap, my best race. So finishing races is a goal. And I gained a lot of confidence in the last 3 weeks last year that I think I can finish races. Without a doubt, it's just a matter of can I finish races and work towards that second goal, which is racing and actually being up, battling for position. I don't want to back mark until the last couple laps and then try, because if it goes green, I'm screwed. I hate the idea of being lapped just because I can junk my car, junk the leader's car, and piss off people. So staying on the lead lap's a goal. Top 5's a goal. And kind of growing. So you alluded to it earlier, the podcast, reaching out to people, kind of becoming, I don't want to say a name because that's selfish, but when I came to the races as a kid growing up, as an adult, taking my kids the first few times before I got my car, I didn't know who anybody was. And I think that's kind of the issue with getting butts in seats is you only come if you know who people are.
Yeah.
So not even me getting known, but getting the track known, getting our friends known, getting you known, anybody who's on the podcast, creating fans for the sport in a, I want to say inorganic because this is organic traffic per se, but in a way that is new to the smaller
Saturday night.
Yeah. So obviously Port Royal is going to have a radio show.
Right.
Lernerville is going to have us some time. We know Kyle Larson does good in the late model. We know Jimmy Owens is who Jimmy Owens is, but we don't know who you are, who I am, who Eric is, the values that these people come from, and kind of why we race. It's the kind of thing that makes you go to a race. I never liked a NASCAR driver because they came from money and they won championships. For the years, my favorite NASCAR driver was Matt DiBenedetto. Never won a race in NASCAR, but he was personable, always had a good cause behind him, and was a funny guy. So hopefully that's part of this, and part of my goals is kind of just to bring people in, whether for me or anybody else, just be a driving factor in that.
Yeah. Really let people know who you are, where you come from,
right,
what you like to do.
I did a Touch a Truck event. Gleno Hawbaker hosted the Touch a Truck event over in State College, and I was working on a job with them. So I said, I'm going to bring my race car. So I called the lady running the show from the State College community, asked if I could bring the car and trailer over so kids can see that. And you would be surprised, of the 200, 300, 400 people that were there, none of them knew that there was a racetrack as close as Hidden Valley, Port Royal, even the bigger tracks. And we gave out some tickets to some people and brought some new faces. There's so much market out there for us that we just have to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to have events like that for race cars where you have a show or something. I realize the mall show we do,
Right.
that happens before season. Always wanted to put a car in there.
Mine's never going to be ready by then.
I never have mine ready.
Mine's not ready now. We're racing in 2 days. Well, you're racing in 2 days. Yeah. I like to take mine to car shows, and it's a conversation piece, gets people involved. Bud Garvey has their classic car show,
Yep.
and they have some classic race cars there. They've asked me to bring it up and outreach, but that kind of stuff. And I say it like, oh, we all need to be doing it. It's more time away from everything else. But yeah, and I get people who say, get some of the older guys are like, you're an idiot. This isn't going to work. Maybe not. Maybe it won't. But you got to try. I've had all this equipment laying around, so why not make a show?
Yeah. I mean, when you asked me, I was like, yeah, absolutely.
What's the worst that's going to happen? We're going to sit here, we're going to BS for a couple hours, drink a couple beers,
talk about racing,
and see where it goes. And as I get better at this and get better at opening people up, me opening up, we're going to show people that, and it's really easy to see once you're on the inside. Race car drivers are just normal people who either are really not good with their money or got really lucky to get into racing. Those are the only two differences that differentiate anybody else from a race car driver.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'll let you know, I follow into the dumb one.
I've done some dumb things too.
Well, it's just like we said earlier, it's an addiction. It's a lifestyle. You've heard the saying before. What's the fastest way to become a millionaire racing?
Yeah.
Start out a billionaire.
I
mean, we're not out here to be the most famous guy. We're not out here to make money.
I often sit back and it's the running joke in the garage. I say to Brad, I said, what are we going to do if I quit racing? Because I ain't no good at playing golf. Yeah. You know what I mean?
When we're in this spot in our lives, my wife and I, where we're looking at getting a house in the next year. And obviously we got to make some financial sacrifices. And really the first thing on the chopping block is going to be racing. And I'm obviously I'm going to do what's best for my family, but I'm not sure I'm ready to say out loud that after 5 years, I'm done racing. Maybe a layoff.
I was going to say, layoff. Layoff.
But
you never lose that feeling.
Well,
I can remember watching my dad as a kid race and, I want to do that. I want to do it. And when my dad quit racing, we didn't go to racetracks. He steered clear because if he got into it, he was going back racing again.
Just like I said, we're all addicts, man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's relapsing's just as easy as any other addiction.
Yep.
Do you follow any other racing? Any anything on Flow, NASCAR, anything else?
I used to be in the NASCAR, and my favorite driver was Mark Martin. I followed Mark all the way out until when he finally retired. I really stopped watching NASCAR. Of course, going back to your 40 hours of work, as well as I do, traveling to and from where we work. You spend an hour in a truck every day just going home and other things.
This is a NASCAR podcast, by the way.
We're off dirt track.
Yeah, it's just racing, man. When I got into racing this last time around, COVID, I was all in. I bought all the scanners. I was listening to everything, all the in cars, because I know cars make left turns and they wreck and there's a winner. But hearing the strategy and the adjustments and learning what all that meant, I originally set out to just spot at Jennerstown. Was like, okay, I want to be involved. I was going to be a spotter. Posted in a group. Had a guy who offered to let me drive his car. Never took him up on it. Another guy who wanted a spotter. Couldn't get his radios to work. And eventually, how my brain works, I said, screw it, I'm going to race. And I was originally looking at asphalt, but Hidden Valley's a lot closer than Jennerstown.
Absolutely.
And those asphalt tires wear a lot faster.
I've never been to an asphalt race.
I've never been to a NASCAR race. I've been to Jennerstown. That's it. I've been to a NASCAR track. I've been to Bristol for when the Lucas Oil Series was there.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it World of Outlaws? I think it was World of Outlaws was there. Nope. I thought I was wearing the shirt, but I think it was World of Outlaws when they late models.
Speaking of shirt, you can tell we're dirt track racers. We're wearing parts supply.
Oh, you and I
shirts.
both know. We both went home and put on a racing shirt before this.
Oh yeah.
It was totally
That's
just.
about what half my closet is race car. If it's not work shirts, it's race car shirts.
Yeah, I got fluorescent yellow, my team shirts, and just random parts shirts or whatever comes with whoever sends it.
Probably the. What do you think of fan appreciation? Because I'm telling you, that is probably my most favorite day of the year.
Our fan appreciation. The first photo I always send when I send out sponsorship email letters or letters in general is a picture I have of me signing an autograph for a little girl.
Yep.
Because that, and when you falling back on what you said, my favorite racing feeling was, that's not a feeling in the car, but that feeling is incredible.
Yeah.
I did it at that Touch a Truck event there, and nobody cared that I was a back marker. The kids were like, "Oh my goodness, this is a race car driver.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I'm touching a race car." You know, at those events, I put the kids in the car, let them flip some switches around, and it's another really cool feeling that you can't really explain, but it's just doing good. But yeah, fan appreciation night's awesome. We have some plans this year to bring some pretty cool stuff. I wish we could do it more than one night a year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would lose the feeling, but
It's always great to, they get to see us on the track. They get to watch us, but typically we don't get to interact with them. We don't get to see, the people that are supporting us in our sport. They spend a lot of money just as well as we spend a lot of money.
and they make their Saturday night is
Our
6
Saturday
hours
night.
of
Yeah.
seeing us.
Yeah.
And I don't, they're just they just have to sit there and watch. We talk about the thrill and stuff, but we got people who enjoy just watching us have the thrill, which is amazing.
Yeah. Can't thank them all enough for sure.
No, and I just hope to see more and more of them every single week.
Yeah, because unfortunately, like you said, butts and seats. Without them, you might as well just go rolling around the field a couple times and
Call it a night. Yeah, I can do a lot of crazy, stupid stuff, but doing crazy, stupid stuff for them is what it's about.
absolutely.
Yeah, I remember. I think fan appreciation last year. Well, I think that was my last race. Maybe. No, it wasn't. I raced a couple more, but my last race, we had a bunch of T-shirts left over, and we went up in the stands and just, "You're a kid. Here's a T-shirt.
Yeah.
You're a kid. Here's a T-shirt," and all those kids were like, "I don't even know who you are, but I'm happier. I'm happier than a pig in mud right now. I got a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Guy wearing a fire suit gave it to me."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I spun out that race, and the race was still going on behind me. Sorry to steal your thunder.
Eh,
So, forgive my ignorance here. How many times have you been in victory lane?
I have not been in victory lane.
Why the hell not? I thought you got one. Didn't you get one last year?
No. I took second. I won lots of heat races, but
Was that on a trophy night?
I was in victory lane on trophy.
Okay, I know I've seen your car there.
Yeah.
So, like I said, mind my ignorance. But
Yeah, I've got handfuls of second places, but never that number one spot eludes me.
what do you speculate that feeling will be like?
It's going to be very emotional for me.
I would imagine. I know some of the backstory. I don't know if everybody does, but
Yeah, my father was the big supporter in my racing, as well as my girlfriend, my mother, her father, my brother. Anyone that doesn't know, I lost my father November 3rd of 2021, right after racing season. I ran a street stock up at Marion Center, and we come back from that, and he was in the hospital. ultimately, did not make it. But it's going to be very emotional for us, if and when we do win.
I don't think it's a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
I think I have this sinking feeling that this year it's probably gonna be it. Just
Well,
from watching your improvement, I don't know a lot about a lot, but watching your improvement from 2 years ago to the beginning of last year to the end of the last year, I think you're figuring it out, and I think this year's gonna be it.
yeah, well, I appreciate
I
it.
look forward to seeing it. So.
Yeah. I'll stand there and cheer you on just as much as you would me.
Like I said, I just want to finish.
Yeah.
I want to see my friends be successful. I just want to get better, finish, bring some awareness to the sport,
Absolutely.
have a good time, good safe time.
Yeah. Want everybody to be safe, that's for sure.
That's one of the crazy things. So everybody, I don't say everybody, family members, when I first told them I was racing, big freak out about safety. And when I show them these cars, the way they're engineered, the way they're designed, these late models aren't, and no disrespect intended, they're not some garage built pure stock. They're not a roll cage in a 4-cylinder. These things are designed to go fast. Now, the way I kind of won them over was I showed them some of the clips from Bristol when cars were in the fence and people got out and walked away. I said, obviously I don't want to scare you, but this is what we're working with. This is the real deal. And then of course I got yelled at for spending money.
Trust me, we all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, safety's a huge aspect of the sport. I mean, the cars are designed to keep us safe.
Right. It's not
100%.
it's not the 1960s. We're not some rednecks trying to be moonshiners. We're some rednecks trying to be race car drivers.
I was going to say, a bunch of rednecks trying to be race car drivers, but
yeah, it's cool. So, do you have anything you're looking forward to this season? Any special nights, goals? Any? I don't want to say secrets because I don't want them to be out there, but
no secrets.
no secrets.
Come over to the garage if you like. I mean,
I know that you're the first person to offer me help. My second race out there.
who doesn't want to win? I mean, that's a goal.
Right.
But ultimately, at the end of the year, I want to have fun. Want everybody we're racing with to have fun. Just go have a good time. Go race and meet some fans.
How often do you think you go up in the stands and just hang out?
Well, last year not much.
Lots of wrenching.
Lots of going back to making adjustments on the car. Last year was probably my first full year of feeling confident enough to make bar adjustments, move a J bar, move 4-link bars, etc. Love to spend more time in the stands and meet people.
I think that'd be a pretty neat idea for track. It's just having a fan zone, right? So our pavilion we have up, I gotta imagine it's supposed to be like handicap seating or something of the sort where maybe drivers just go up and hang out, right?
Yeah. Or, even down by the pit concession where the pit gate from the stands would be, maybe have an area where, the fans could come down, they'd be really close to the track. Drivers, I know when I'm not wrenching, I try to go up there and watch a little bit of racing myself and, maybe come down and interact with us.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of seeing people, talking with people, kids, getting the kids involved.
Absolutely.
You just can't beat going back to that fan appreciation night. All right, so this episode's a little bit everywhere. We'll play a little fantasy here. What's money not an option or not an issue? Where's one track you want to race?
East Bay.
Really?
Yeah.
You like East Bay? You only got about another year.
Yeah. I've always wanted to race in Florida.
You ever been to East Bay?
I have not.
It is it's interesting. So my dislikes about East Bay is all of their features run the same amount of laps. Whether it's 4 cylinders, late model, sprint cars, everybody's running the same amount of laps, 20 lap feature, which I thought was just a little strange because Some of those smaller, or like when the micros were out there, it got to be a little long on a big track. Wasn't a bad seat in the house. I didn't get their pit experience. I'm going down this summer, so I'm hoping to get down in the pits a little bit. But it was a fun track. It looked fast. It looked well kept. Good one.
Yeah. What about you?
As a fan, the best racing I've ever seen in person and on TV has been Port Royal. But I feel like I've spent enough hours at Port Royal as a fan that I think I'd have to say, and I'm gonna sound like a bandwagoner, but Eldora.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many places you want to race.
Right. And I've been to tracks up and down the East Coast. Anywhere I go, first thing I do when I'm at my hotel is where's the nearest racetrack. So vacation for me is usually just race hunting. But who knows? There's probably a gem in Wyoming that would make great racing.
I know we went to South Dakota in October, and I don't even know the name of the speedway, but it was just out there in the middle of nowhere.
Was it Huset? Big like grandstands and everything.
Oh yeah,
Dark brown dirt.
yep.
Yeah, I think
That
it
could have been it.
Huset or Huset. I don't know how to say it, but it almost looks like a Bristol in the Midwest.
Yeah, I mean, you literally come up the road and there's nothing, and boom, Grandstand Speedway.
Yeah, and I've watched on Flow some really great racing there.
Another speedway, probably, on the bucket list would be Tazewell, the big high banked, just
Fast.
yeah.
I'd like to see. I've never even been to our own Williams Grove, so
Never been to Williams Grove. I've been a lot of places, but never there.
I think that might be Williams Grove and Lincoln. Might be two of the only speedways in Pennsylvania, bigger name that you would know of, that I haven't been to yet. I mean, I'll get there, but my fandom went very fast from fandom to race car driver, and you can't be a race car driver and a fan at the same time. It's really hard. I'd like to take a season off just to spend Saturday nights in the stands.
Yeah, there's not enough Saturdays in the year
No,
that we're racing.
That's my biggest, like, once winter hits, I'm like, okay, I know I have the Chili Bowl coming up. I have Florida Nationals coming up I can watch on TV, but it's still not like being there.
So you said you do iRacing.
I dabble.
Yeah. I have no idea how you can do it.
It's I don't do well in dirt cars on iRacing.
I am absolutely horrible.
Well, I think the big thing about dirt car and iRacing is you have to feel your car racing. That's the first thing I learned, was you can't just tap the brakes and expect it to set like you do on iRacing. I race a lot more road course stuff.
Yeah.
A lot more stuff that I'm not familiar with. But I have iRaced. I iRaced in Monday Night Racing League, which was, so they had the RTG, which was the Road to Glory, which was the series I raced in, which is essentially Xfinity. In the Monday Night League, the likes of Dale Earnhardt Jr. were racing weekly, Kyle Busch, Anthony Alfredo. And the Road to Glory League was people who were trying to make the show. So they'd take the top 5, and then you would go into the show with these bigger names. And that was just incredible. Just to have the chance to race with those guys, to know that I'm in an online call with these racers and minutes away from being in an online call with some of the best in the world. Never made the show. I've been 6th. Wish they ended up closing that program just because it was a lot of production. They did full race production and stuff with broadcasts. Daryl Waltrip did one of our broadcasts once, which was really cool. Wish they still did it because I would still be trying to get in with those guys. Probably be a little hellion and wreck Kyle Busch just because. Just because, you got to say you wrecked Kyle Busch. You got one shot to do it. I'd do it at somewhere like Talladega or something where we're drafting. But, yeah, iRacing's awesome. I don't know. Take it you've dabbled.
I do not have my own setup, but I have dabbled. A couple friends do.
I used to have a chair and everything, but now I just have the wheel. And it's not the same. When we move here in the next year or so, I'd like to put a rig back in my office and get back into it, just for fun, for asphalt stuff, road racing, the stuff I don't get to do on Saturday night.
So We gonna be twins in color paint schemes this year? Or?
Well, no, you stole my black body red front, so I had to go ahead and just drop a couple dollars just so didn't want to be the same. So I'm white body with white front, red accents. So, well,
That was my nephew's decision. He loves Star Wars. For all the listeners, the car looks like Darth Vader.
Darth Vader or Darth Maul?
Darth Vader.
Okay. That's
Got
what you're going for.
Yep. It's got a great big picture of Darth Vader on the roof.
No, I'm a little bit of a nerd, a little weeby. And I have some anime characters going on my wrap this year. My helmet's done up like a main character of one of the animes that I've watched. There you go. We'll break out and bring in some anime crowd to the. Listen, this show has all kinds of twists and turns. We don't know where we're going next.
But, are we racing? Are we anime? Are we
yeah,
Star
who knows,
Wars?
man?
Yeah.
Hey, have you seen that episode of I don't know what the hell? But yeah, that was my thing. Is I know Eric did Paw Patrol, and I was like, that's a good idea. You know, if nobody's gonna come copyright strike our cars, I'm gonna throw some silly stuff on there. I thought about doing just goofy stuff like SpongeBob for the kids, or something, or even I don't even know. Letterkenny was on the idea list. Thought about mimicking some old NASCAR schemes, maybe in the future, but no, we're not twinning this year. I guess that's the really winded answer. I'm sure I'll give you a couple white stripes though. Don't you worry about it.
Maybe I'll put red on yours.
That's fine.
I'll be coming up to the car like me and Eric last year. I think we were sticking tape of each other's colors on each other's car. Gone, look, we already got it out of the way.
I don't care. As long as we're not too broke, I'll rub. I mean, I already hit the wall.
Yeah. The first wrinkle after that, it's whatever.
Yeah. Problem is, I bet the brand new spoiler.
Yeah.
Those don't just come out.
I was gonna say you don't find those laying alongside the road.
No, they don't just beat out with a hammer either. They're making plastic ones now.
I saw that, and they're making plastic, like
I ran a plastic
fenders and bodies and stuff.
I ran a plastic quarter last year and a plastic nose filler piece.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's gonna rip, it's gonna tear, no issues. It's just as new as when I bought it." Oh yeah, that's a lie. I hit the wall last year at the end of the year, coming out of 4. That wall's a little hard, but yeah, they're basically doing all plastic right sides now.
Yeah.
I guess that's for those people that run up against the wall and stuff and really shove their nose in there.
Yeah.
It ends up being about $140 a piece. So it depends on how your sheet metal skills are and if you pay people to do your body. I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah, I know if you go buy a prefab body, they can get pretty expensive.
My quote this year was $5,000 for a new body. I think we have about 12 in sheet metal, and I say we, but Eric did a lot of the work, bending it and cutting it and helping me mount it and stuff. It was labor intensive, so I can see where they come from that number. What would you say? I know broke is a bad thing, but what's your favorite thing to work on your car? Are you body guy, motor guy? I know you said
I'm a
you
motor guy.
like your motors.
Yep.
I pulled my motor this year. We were going to trade it. Trade fell through. So I ended up setting it back in, and I did some of the work there. I'm so afraid of making a mistake. It's going to cost me money, both on the track and working with it. But bodywork's pretty tedious too. I haven't found a niche yet as a mechanic. I'm just a driver, not a good one, but I'm just a driver.
I'm not a body guy. I despise it. I despise doing body work.
Well,
my goal is to do less body work.
And I said, I put all that time into the new body, and the first thing I do in practice is hit the wall in the second lap, third lap. And, well, that was a lot of money and time.
Get the rubber mallet out, piece of plywood.
Depends on the angles. Might beat it over the trailer side.
Yep. No, I'm for sure a motor guy. I make my living working on diesel engines,
right,
gas engines, that kind of stuff. I really enjoy putting motors together.
I'm hoping within the next year to be at least have the parts to put a motor together. I think I have the people that have the parts. Now it's just the money to buy the parts. But I'd like to have a nicer motor together, a little more power. Um, Sometimes I think that's my issue on the track is like I just don't have enough power, and I'm trying to drive it like you guys are driving out there. And I said earlier, obviously the driving style with less horsepower has to change. That's a new ball game.
Yeah, it is.
And the way motors, the semi-late models come, they're pushing damn near lower super late model powers.
Yeah. I mean,
Horsepower. There we go.
It's wild. I mean, it can get pretty expensive pretty quick.
And I don't know how true it is. I had a guy, he races steel blocks out Midwest, and he said he has a steel block motor, so obviously not exactly limited, but his is pushing 700-800 horsepower. And I'm like, huh? That's super power, super late model power. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking. I mean, I'm a Ford guy, I know Ford motors, but I mean, you're looking at a Roush Yates, something like that. You're talking 800-900 horse. That's all aluminum, 100%. Just
Right.
lots of money. And you're getting out of a steel block. It's wild.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. He's actually who I bought. So here's a fun fact for the people listening. 3 years, I've yet to run a new tire. I have only ran used tires from other teams. I go out west, pick them up. I had a guy sell me about 35 tires for $100 one weekend. Thought I was making out like a bandit. Didn't know anything about anything. They're all 1450s. I couldn't use a single tire. But I've yet to this year. This season, start of the season, will be my first year on new rears.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping everybody says it's going to make a world of a difference.
I will tell you this: that we want new tires every week.
I don't know. Am I going to afford that? I know I can't afford that.
It's a totally different feeling.
And like
Getting a good tire.
I've scuffed them, I've siped them, used ones and stuff, and I've had some pretty close to new ones, but never knew.
Yeah, you want some used ones? Come get them.
Have you got anything that has life?
Yeah, I got stacks of tires.
And they're soft.
Yeah, that's the battle anymore. Just getting tires.
Well, right now Mid Atlantic has 1200s on sale, 150
Really?
a piece. You get me a tire for putting you onto it if you get some. Oh man.
Yeah, I just got 2 new ones there at practice. Gotta get them. That's tomorrow night. We'll be grooving tires.
Tomorrow night we're ripping shocks off, sending them away. So we lost a bolt out of our caliber from how rough the track was, and that's why it was locking up the left front. We found out, which is good because I thought we broke a hub.
Yeah.
And that was not in my affordability for the week. And then we have the dead spotted shock. Hopefully that can just get fixed by being freshened and nothing's bent.
I know shock game ain't cheap.
So next year, originally this year was going to be new motor. It was I came into a deal to trade for a motor. Ended up falling through just from after further inspection. We found some things that may not have been an issue, but we didn't like what we saw, so we just decided not to go through with it. Put the crate motor back in. But originally it was going to be this year, new motor. Next year, shock package. Future year 3 would be a 2026 chassis.
Yeah.
And then kind of just run that pattern. But the motor fell through, and now we're all off kilter and buying this house. We don't know what we're going to do. Maybe I'll just race a 4-cylinder.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind, and obviously we all say this, I wouldn't mind finding someone with an extra chassis. Let me throw my money at it, but I don't have the overhead burden of the initial purchase. Because if I could sell mine, take that money, I would dump it into whoever wants to let me race one of their chassis.
Yeah.
And then fix what I break. I mean, but you gotta have some friends in high places for that kind of crap.
Yeah. There's not chassis sitting alongside the road.
Actually, when you drive from here to Clearfield, I've seen a couple.
Yeah, there's a couple.
You just see them laying out there.
You got me.
I actually think there's like 2 in our garage. Right now. Or there was. It's not anymore.
I got too many between modifieds and late models. Nope.
I thought about actually getting a micro.
Just to try it out.
Yeah. And because you can literally roll one of those things down the backstretch and rebuild it for what shocks cost us.
Yeah.
But also, the idea of rolling down the backstretch scares the hell out of me.
My dream ride is a 410 wingless. I would absolutely die to be in one.
Well, that's how. So when I first bought my car, I jumped into a late model, but I was looking at pure stocks and street stocks, and my wife, who also grew up around racing, said, "I know you. You like to have the best. Just buy a late model or a sprint car." And I'm like, "What?" I obviously put the ring on the right woman.
I was gonna say,
but so we bought the late model. And I don't regret it. I definitely don't think I could have raced a sprint car. We almost traded it out last year for a 600 micro operation a couple times, but the problem with that was all of my notes go out the window. Everyone who I'm friends with from racing late models go out the window. I mean, we're still friends, but the help they can provide me goes out the window.
yeah.
And at that time, it wasn't announced Hidden Valley be running. So I'd have to go to Clinton County, meet new people, this, that, and the other, with not a single clue on how to run them.
So, racing question.
Racing answer.
What is your dream car? If you were to get in one, super late, what, sprint car?
So race car. I really think I would prefer, very controversial thing to say, racing on asphalt. I think I would do better, first off, with just my feeling problems with the race car. But I think there's a higher ceiling too. Not skill wise, it's way harder to race on dirt, but there's a higher potential ceiling. But I don't know, because if it has tires and a checkered flag, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like I say that, but I think maybe even like a GT3 road course car, or something way out of the topic of this podcast, like a Porsche, or trying to think of some of the other GT3 cars. My favorite's a Porsche. I don't know, and there's so much out there that I don't even know where to start. I mean, the right answer is any ride that someone else is paying for, right? But I don't know. I mean, I think like our ceiling has to be super late models on dirt. I don't have the cojones for a sprint car. I think it'd be fun, but if we're answering honestly, I don't think I'd be able to do it. Yeah, I think a super late would be fun.
I agree. But I'm a sprint car.
Have you ever driven one?
I've never driven a sprint car.
Well, at Hidden Valley, we have this opportunity coming.
Yeah, never.
Just add another chassis to your garage.
Yeah, I don't need no more. I don't need anything more to spend money on. Trust me.
I would try sprint cars. I definitely think I'd try like a 600 or a 270 or something.
Yeah.
But
I'm a 410. If I'm gonna get in one, it'll be a 410.
So here's a question. It's kind of like a no-brainer for like seasoned dirt car people. But the first time you stood beside a 410 after watching them on the track, were you like, "Holy this thing is huge"?
Yeah.
Like I every time I go watch them, every single time, and every time I go down to stand by them, I'm like, "Wow."
You don't realize, from up in the stands how big the wings and everything.
Well, even
how big
late
the car
models
is in general.
Yeah, even late models. The first time I thought I was gonna sit in it and be like the size of my Focus.
Yeah.
That's set out front. Like, oh yeah, it's a race car, but it's boxy, but it's small. No, man, those things has like the wheelbase of my truck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like literally racing a boat out there. But yeah, no, I would try a sprint car. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think that I could do it. The science behind them, the in-car adjustments you have to make. I have a hard time remembering to adjust my brake bias
Yeah.
on restarts. So like the amount of stuff that you can do with those, one goes to show like how much brain there is in racing, and two, I don't have the brain to race them.
Get Tony Stewart to send me down one of those Ford-powered 410s.
Yeah, I mean, if Tony Stewart
Yeah,
wants
I mean,
to, hey,
Sign me up.
Tony, I'll tag you in this on Twitter.
Yeah. If it's got wheels on it and runs in the dirt, I want to race it.
Yeah, I think, and I kick myself in the butt for buying a late model, right? Because there's so much to learn. As long as it's a rear-wheel drive car, not too much offense to the four-cylinder drivers, but I think that transition, I don't think there's such thing as bad experience or bad exposure to something, but I feel like it would be a harder transition going from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive cars. I mean, you raced one time.
I ran one time, and
and then you go to a rear end like a late model and everything's completely different.
Oh yeah. Remember geometry?
Nope.
Think you were going to use that.
Yeah. I say things about geometry and chassis, and people are like, those words don't go together. I'm like, I got.
Yeah, come look at this setup book once.
Yeah. Well, that's a thing, and I haven't reached out to Audi about more advanced setup books, but the setup book I've gotten from Swartz is the drawings of the parts, and it says move here for this, and the rest is like you figure it out.
I'll give, I run a laser chassis. Jim Bernheisel down in Jonestown. I've called him on, Saturday night at the track. If he's not in the car, he picks up the phone, and you're going, hey man, this thing's plowing like a dump truck.
What do I do?
What do I do? And he'll give you an honest answer, which is really good. The setup books are really, really, really good for a redneck like me. It's got pictures and the tape measures
It's
holding out
colored.
there. Yeah. So
There is a lot more to these cars than people think. We're not just out there pressing a loud pedal and turning.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even understand it. People tell me about indexing and this and rates, and I look at my car chief and I say, what should I do?
Yeah.
I know I'm tight. You here's the wrench. And I'm blessed to be able to do that. I'm learning while we do it, but I'm forever thankful that those guys can look at our setup sheets and know what to do. I would just go out there and just keep spinning on the same setup. I think it's me.
Yeah, it's wild how much stuff you can get into on one. It's mind-boggling.
Well, when you think you got these, where is it? Is it New York? There's a mile-long track, right? Dirt track. I know there's one somewhere. Forgive the ignorance of not knowing the exact one. Looked it up. There's a mile-long dirt track somewhere. And then you take these same cars and turn a couple shock adjustments, move a bar here, and you're racing the same exact car with different tires on a 5th mile high bank track. You're not putting new parts in it. You're just making a few adjustments. I don't know what other sport you could really do something. So I say simple, make simple adjustments, but if you don't know what you're doing with those simple adjustments, you'll be ass backwards.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's just like don't try to run your late model with reverse stagger in it. Done that on accident.
I've had people tell me front stagger doesn't matter. I've had people tell me your front stagger is the most important. I've had people tell me 2 inches of rear stagger. I've had people tell me 5 inches of rear stagger.
Yeah.
I said, I'm just going to start here and figure it out. I said, stagger seems like a minor adjustment right now for me, where I need to just learn to drive the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's hectic, it's frustrating, it's fun.
Well, that's the first thing I was told Saturday was, Connor, you're frustrated. Like, what do you mean? I can tell coming out of 3 and 4. You're not getting the results you want out of 3 and 4, and you're frustrated setting up in 1 and 2. And I had to figure out that they were right. I was bouncing all around coming out of 3 and 4. And I'd exit super low because had no control, and then my setup for 1 and 2 was off, and I would just lose it, or I would just do something stupid, or I would run slow. And
Probably the best advice I ever got when I started racing was take it out, run it as hard as you could, and spin it out. Find out exactly how far you can push that car to make it spin out.
I think that was the time I was out on track with you. I think I spun out 3 times in a lap. That first time we went out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
But
you scared the bejesus out of me because I had no brakes.
did you lose brakes?
Oh, I had no brakes. I come around you and I was like, well, thank God he had some room behind him because I'd had to get skinny.
That was the part about not having the receivers that I was like, maybe we should have radios. But that time I came out and I said, Eric wanted me to set a different way. And I came out and did it the way he said. And the first thing I just pitched it sideways, had no control. Hit turn 1 again, pitched it sideways, had no control. I'm like, well, let's practice. Let's do it a 3rd time.
Yeah.
Pitched it sideways, had no control. Now, we made way too big of a swing on our adjustment from the first time where we were plowing tight. Car was too loose to really do that. When I spin out, I kind of feel like, okay, I found a line, right?
Yeah.
Like I get frustrated because I only get one more when we're racing. But I'm like, okay, there's a line. How close can I get now?
Yeah, how far can I stand on this line without just going overboard?
Right. Like, and people see like, oh, he's out there spinning out. He's an idiot. When, well, you're probably 60% right. There's a thought process to what I'm doing when I'm doing all that is I'm trying to figure out where I can put this car.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, yeah, I could go around there and putz around and barely be up on the bars, but I want to know where that line is. And I feel like that's the best way for me to learn to drive it is push to the limit, push it to the limit, back up a little bit, push it to the limit, back up a little bit. Okay, I was fine there. Can I get a little closer to that limit?
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes into being comfortable with getting on the limit too.
Right, and my understanding is that's where these cars are fast.
Oh yeah.
That's racing these cars is you're running on a fine line of wrecking and racing.
Yeah, I mean you're running so close on the hairy edge of being out of control. It's not even funny.
Now, one improvement I'd like to see to our track and our racing service would be I'd like to see the ability to have a little bit more of a berm because
Cushion.
Yeah, cushion.
Yeah.
Because I am tail slapping the shit out of the wall in turn 2 all the time. But I feel like if we could get a cushion ran up there, I have a really fast line.
Oh yeah. The first time I ever discovered a cushion.
You hopped it?
Well, no, I'm telling you. I mean, it's wild. You come in, you hit it, you're like, this thing will take all the power that you'll give it.
Yeah.
If you stay in it.
Well, that's
if
how
you go over it. Yeah.
The first night I ever got hooked up and my first hot laps ever in the car, I found a cushion.
Yeah.
And I was in it. And that was like, it might've been the addicting moment for racing for me. But yeah, if we could get I think now obviously money's an issue all around from owning to a track, maintaining a track, racing the track.
Right.
But if we could get like a high groove on our track, a cushion build up on the high groove, and my ignorance, I mean, that could just be you got to go out and run the line 3, 4, 5 times to put it there. I don't know. But I think it would be great to have an outside line.
Yeah.
That's what Eric kept telling me on Saturday to run the outside line in 3 and 4. I'm like, I didn't even know 3 and 4 had an outside line.
It does.
3 and 4 has always been nose to tire for me. But apparently you said I found it, so.
I was gonna say, well, even I watched you in practice there. Even in 1 and 2, you were up a groove, and
I've always been. I'm so, and I think it's.
But the car was hooked in.
I know, and part of it's me being afraid of not really knowing where my nose is comes with seat time. That I'm always, even when I'm watching recordings and stuff from previous races, I'm always up a groove. But I also think like my car has to stay wound, so I can't get too tight. Because I feel like a lot of times in 3 and 4, I get pointed too late, maybe, and I'm down on power coming out of the turn. Like I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you look at it from the top, and it don't look like you're coming up out of a hole. But I mean, when you're on the bottom and you got to have the motor, or, the gear to get you up and going out of that,
Right.
out of the hole,
Now,
as to speak.
Saturday there was so much grip in the track that I never thought I'd complain about a track being too grippy, but maybe with the cold temperatures, the lack of cars, and the rain, that might have been a little too grippy. Wasn't muddy.
No, it wasn't muddy.
It wasn't sloppy by any means.
No, it was grippy. That's for sure.
Well, that's why I said I came out and I'm like, way too tight. Eric took the car out just to confirm because he's like, I think you're tight and my tight are different things. He went on, he comes back, you about hit the wall in the same spot I did. He's like, nope, way too tight. That's forever funny. It was like a big told you so moment for me. I don't know where I was going, but God, it was grippy.
Yeah.
I was so worried about making too much adjustments. I'm like, should we even be adjusting to this track? Because, like, damn well, come June, July,
it's going to slick off.
Yeah, we don't have much grip. And that's not any dig at the track. That's Pennsylvania summer.
I was going to say, it's hot. There's no rain. There's no moisture. It's just...
No, I mean, a perfect world. I'd love it to rain Monday through Wednesday and then...
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
Yeah. I mean, no, because I got to work a little bit.
Yeah.
Remember the money thing we keep coming back on?
Oh, yeah. But still, like you said, it's just...
And that's
Pennsylvania summer.
That's something that, as a fan turned racer, never thought of. Like, I hear about people, oh, he sees the track. Oh, he finds the groove. Oh, I can't see that on the track. I have no idea. I don't think, like, it's part of the learning curve, obviously, but, like, I don't think, oh, I'm loose, I'm tight, adjust the brake bias, this, that, the other. Like,
yeah, you're setting up there going, I got to turn here. Where do I need, there's a car in front of me. Do I need to pinch it off? Do I need to throw the car to be able to get under him? Is he drifting high? Is he drifting low as he's coming out?
Yeah, or you fall on a car that runs a different line every time.
Right.
Me. And you don't know how to get around them, and you finally commit to something. It's the wrong committal, and it's like been 5 laps now, and the leader's coming up behind you, and you're about to get lapped, and you're getting frustrated, so you throw it in, and you spin out, and next thing you know, there's a leader barreling at you, and you're puckered up. And
yeah.
Been there.
My old man told me the first time I was in the car, he said, now I'm going to tell you, he said, you're going to really think you're out there doing something. He said, till the leader of the race comes past you and sucks the numbers off the doors.
Oh my God. So the first time I think I got lapped, I panicked and I went to like slow down and move up. Car fell off the bars, cut to the right, had to overcorrect, cut to the left. Next thing you know, I'm spinning out in front of the leader who is full head of steam coming off of turn 4.
Yeah.
And I am looking at him coming straight at me. I just punch it straight into the infield. I'm like, I am destroying my car before I let him do it. I would never forgive myself. And that was my biggest fear the first few times I came out was, I don't want to scrap other people's stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want to scrap my stuff.
I don't want to junk my stuff, and I don't want to junk yours either.
And I realized that the best way to not junk someone is to race them. Because if you're trying to avoid them, you're in the slick, you're in the way, you're out of the groove, you're this, that, and the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody started at some point.
I just feel like an asshole starting in a late model. I don't feel like I belong. And not in like a poor me way. It's just there's a skill ceiling that is so high when you start there. Like I thought like, oh, I drifted a 4-wheeler. I know turn left to go right or right to go left. I watched cars, this, that, and the other. No, those are the way the rear ends are set up in a late model. They're just different than what you expect. Geometry, angles, rear steer, all these things that were words that I heard before but didn't mean anything to me. Yeah. Now they're words I hear all the time, and I'm trying to figure out what they mean. I mean, yeah, you can say rear steer is what it is, but what does that mean when I'm in the car? What does that mean when I'm tight? What does that mean when I'm loose? How do I adjust it? Where's the gotta go? Notes.
Yeah, it's wild. And then you get into track conditions. You get into, Pennsylvania summer, hot and dry. well, what tire compound do I run?
That was the first thing last year. I started to get comfortable kind of at the beginning of the year because the first few races it was a little tacky,
Oh, yeah.
but not bad. And use the word bad loosely. I'm not. It doesn't mean the track was bad. I just mean like I was comfortable, and then boom, dry season hit.
Yeah.
And mind you, I wasn't making adjustments on the car yet, so I'm like, could not keep it underneath me. Couldn't feel anything on a sheet of ice all the time. Felt like I had 900 horsepower under the tires. Couldn't control it. Made an adjustment. Made another adjustment. Kind of started getting the hang of it. Fall season comes. More moisture in the track.
Yeah.
What do I do now? Then I bend some stuff. So then I'm working with broke parts and I'm trying to get that. Finally, towards the end of the season, got to the place where I'm finishing races. Close to finishing races. Didn't finish anything. But I was confident making those passes and stuff. And then boom, season's over.
Yeah.
So then I got 6 months of sitting on my rear end thinking about racing, thinking about how I could do X, Y, and Z better. And then practice came out and none of what I thought was worked out how I thought it was going to work out. It was like back to square one again.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I really do, because you come out of, a couple months of not sitting in a driver's seat, and then you get back in it, and you're just like, I kind of forgot how to do this.
Yeah, and then you're like, everything's new again, right? Like the first 2 laps last week was the sight, the sound, the smell. Everything was like the first time again. And then I was like, ah, shit, now I got to series up. I got to actually get the car set. I got to figure things out.
Yeah. Hell, I got out of the car with a pounded headache.
From being loud or from the whiplash or
Just being loud. Wasn't used to it, You're concentrating on so much stuff, fresh motor build, trying to keep, watch your oil pressure, watch your coolant temp, all this other stuff. They're gone.
Well, even like we didn't have our receivers in.
Yeah.
Or is that what they're called? Receivers?
Yeah.
I was thinking transponder. Didn't have the receiver in. So like everything was still just a little bit louder, sounded a little different. I had no idea what was going on. No caution, no nothing. The lights seemed, it was during the day, right? So it was no darkness, no lights were on. Everything was just new. It was like brand new again, which is great. I guess it means we still love it. We still are excited to be out there. It's not, ugh, this again. When I hit the wall, I wish I had my GoPro on because you could hear me cussing up a storm. Son of a mother, this, that, the other, because I just finished the body like 2 nights before. Spoilers hanging off the back. Brand new T-bars gone. That's a thing.
No, I really don't. The big thing I want to take away from, the season is just have a good time. Let's get ready to go racing.
I'm so ready for it. So I was thinking about it today, just racing and stuff, and looked up my truck coming down 220, and I was thinking about coming through the turn and hitting the gas halfway through the turn, getting ready for the straightaway, and I looked down and doing 95 mile an hour down the road. I'm like, oh man! And it's like that every time I think about racing. That right foot gets a little heavy on the gas pedal. Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for a good year. Ready to learn. Ready to see some of the guys out there crush some goals.
Yeah, I hope you succeed in all of your goals.
I hope nobody shows up to a race so I can win one. No.
You and me both.
Yeah. Well, maybe it could be me and you on trophy night.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll take first, or you take first, I'll take second. We'll split third.
We'll just, in the next week, we'll just
flip-flop. Well, it's going to be a new field this year. I know we're trying to sign this off, but you alluded to your cousin, right? It's coming up.
Josh, yeah.
I know as of right now, Eric's not running. I've heard some different things about some other drivers not running, some new ones coming around. So it's going to be a new field. Get to know, learn each other's driving styles and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of us younger guys learning a little more. So hopefully we can get it. Sounds like that's a podcast. Do you have anything before we go you want to shout out? Sponsors, social media, anything?
Yeah, every one of my sponsors, man. RT Mechanical Services, Royers Concessions, Snyder's Concessions, Beardsley Funeral Home, 814 Tinting and Detailing, CW Creations. Am I forgetting anybody? Little's Auto Sales. Everybody that, even if they don't sponsor, everybody that comes up and throws a little bit of information, friends, family, that come and watch, everybody, just the fans in general.
Right. Absolutely. And I guess my sign off is the usual. Thanks, Alpha HVAC, Swopes Electrical Services, Thunder Tattoo Studio. Goodness gracious, that's a tongue twister. Sorry, Thor. My Neighborhood Furniture. Stop in there off Irwin Drive. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing. Oh, the Angel Project. Not a sponsor, but our charity partners. Always happy to give to them, work with them, and everybody should just look for them. If they have anything to give, any time, money, even just kind words to the people they support, it's amazing. And yeah, they're amazing people. Can't wait to have them on board this year. But signing off, that's a podcast. Don't have exit music, so you're listening to the intro music again. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Justin. Jesus, I about called you Jimmy because of the early thing. Good God, get a Longhorn. I don't know what to tell you. Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
And it's hey now, here we go. These cars, they ain't nothing slow. Keep those pedals on the floor. Gotta make them wanna come back for more. Been here since the sun went down. White flag when we come back around. Worked all week, it's time to race. Gonna get a little bit sideways.